Hello everyone, been a while. I am Luke the Armored Weasel, and today I wanted to talk to you about this katana that I spent over $3,000 on. It's not even finished. Some of you may be wondering, like, why would you do that? And before I can really make you or help you understand that rather, you need to understand some basics about how a katana is constructed, made from the raw materials and up. Making swords back in the day was not very easy, especially in Japan. Here in Europe we have fairly good quality raw iron deposits, where you have iron ore that you can fairly easily smelt into serviceable iron. And you know, if you get lucky without too much tinkering steel. In Japan, not so much the case. Japan is really dependent on its iron-containing black sands that you may know about if you are already into katanas a little bit. You chuck a mound of that sand into a big old tatara, which is a furnace. The iron is gonna melt if the tatara is hot enough. If not, it's failed. You need to start all over again. Some of the carbon from the wood, while it burns from the charcoal, is gonna seep into the iron, you could say, making a very crude kind of steel, which is called tamahagane. Of which, actually, I got a little piece right here. This is what it looks like. It doesn't work, but you get the idea. Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. Yeah, nice. And as you can see, if you cut off a bit, it's kind of shiny. That's metal. It's pretty stuff. It's kind of cool. But obviously, like, you know, you're not gonna make this. If you hammer this down into the shape of a sword, obviously it's not gonna be good, right? This is very impure, with a lot of gaps and air pockets and everything, and it's just gonna fall apart, basically. So you need to refine this stuff. What you need to do is flatten out pieces. You know, you select good quality pieces, you flatten them out, and you make them into a billet. It gets folded, folded, folded to work out the impurities, and several of those billets are stacked together to give the katana its final flexibility, but also the really hard edge. So the really good quality steel with a lot of carbon in it, that is a piece that you reserve for the edge. So this part, cutting edge, really hard, really sharp, stays sharp for a very long time, very good. The back and the sides are made of softer steel with a lower carbon content, that gives it a little bit of flexibility and toughness. So that in and of itself is really complicated. First of all, the tatara needs to work. Second of all, you need a smith who can select all the best pieces of steel by eye, usually, sometimes like by sound or feel, I think, like they tap it. Like, there's a lot of skill and experience involved to be able to tell the good pieces from the bad. Then the smith needs to stack them all together, make sure they compress nicely, make sure that the lamination is done well, because if not, it's gonna crack in the final product. Once you harden this thing, all the little folds are gonna be under a lot of stress, and especially the lamination is gonna be under a lot of stress. So there's like a lot of risk of this entire thing just falling apart at the last minute. The hardening, of course, is also very typical of katanas and also very difficult to do. So basically, once you have a piece of steel that is in roughly this shape, what you do is you cover it in clay. Of course you do, right? Makes sense. You coat it in a thinner layer of clay at the edge and a thicker layer of clay at the back. So you heat it up to critical temperature, you dunk it in water. What happens? The sword cools down. But because of the clay, because of the thin layer at the edge, that part cools down really quickly. The temperature of the water reaches into the steel very quickly, chink, sets it basically. Whereas the back cools down more slowly because the clay is a little bit thicker. That eases the steel into a slightly softer state of being. Now, because there's so many things going on, as I said, right? Warping is very common, splitting at the laminations is very common. As you can see maybe here, this thing is not entirely straight either. There's a very slight warp there. But it's, you know, not that noticeable, and I think overall the back is straight, pretty much. That the smith did a really good job in sort of finding the middle line in between all of these not exactly straight things. This is all done by hand, so that's why they're so expensive. It's insane. This has only been polished with the first stone, but already you can see the transition from softer to harder steel. On this side more, I don't want to move it because then I may risk getting the angle. You can see here the hamon already. And in front of my face now as well. Look at that, how cool is that, guys? So I'm really excited about this. This is an ongoing project. As I said, it does still need to be polished. As it is now, it is mounted in a shirasaya, which is basically just a bare wooden scabbard meant for storing the sword. Made of cherry wood, quite nice. The habaki is made of copper. I'm not a very big fan of it, if I'm being honest. Like, it doesn't follow the lines of the sword that nicely. And it's kind of chunky. But I mean, it's not a... It is supposed to go with the sword for like a longer amount of time. But if you want to get it replaced, it's not that big of a deal, you can do that. The tang is not marked, I did take it apart earlier. Just got a piece of Lego from Himeji Castle here. So what you do is, it is basically secured with a single bamboo pin. So what I want to do is get that out. I can just push it, really. Boom, there it goes. Hope I don't lose it, and then it just slides off, and there we are. This is basically a katana. Slide it back in, pushy pushy. Get the pin in. And done. Katana. Now one thing, it isn't exactly sharp yet, but we do want to see how it performs, right? So I bought a bunch of watermelons and let's get to destroying those. Alright, final remarks. This thing cuts like a beast. It feels like a real weapon, which is what I was hoping for. A lot of reproductions kind of feel flimsy. This thing absolutely does not. It feels almost heavy, but not exactly. I think the balancing is spot on, actually. Only one thing left to do, man. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, you stuck around until here, I'm guessing you kinda did. Leave a like and subscribe maybe, it will help out the channel a lot. And will give me an incentive to post more videos like this. See you all in the next one, guys. Have a good day. Bye.